Morning guys, Geekonomics here once again. Sunday the 4th of October. Just wanting to bring you a little update on the Sunday papers this morning. So currently looking at the money section, and two things really are dominating not only the money pages but also the business pages. That is, number one, the Volkswagen debacle and the repercussions which are now being felt particularly by Volkswagen owners. So in the money section we've got a nice little section here, and it's entitled "The Threat of Negative Equity Hangs over Volkswagen Drivers. The emissions scandal is hitting car values, which is bad news for owners on finance deals." We talked, didn't we, this week about equity in terms of that theory. We were talking about the wealth effect theory and house prices rising and people having equity in their houses. And this is something which you don't usually hear associated with the car market, negative equity in the car market. So quite an interesting piece there by Ali Hussein in the money section. And then moving, ladies and gentlemen, to the business pages, dominated by Tesco and Volkswagen again, actually, and a tremendous piece once again by David Smith on the UK economy. So let's deal with the Tesco issue first of all. There's an excellent profile article about the chief executive of Tesco, Mr. Dave Lewis, and the problems which he is currently facing as he tries to turn around the flagging fortunes of Tesco. Tesco, as you know, in an oligopolistic market, a small number of large firms. And the headline here, if you can see it, is "Tesco profits plunge as city fears grow over the turnaround plan." It says Tesco is set to report a slump in first half profits this week, cranking up the pressure on the chief executive and raising questions over the pace of its turnaround. So difficult times for the UK's biggest supermarché retailer. Then reading on, Catherine Cooper, she's got a little section here on car sales. I often wonder to myself, where do all these cars that we make in the UK, where do they go? Who's buying them? And we've got a little article here by Catherine Cooper saying car sales are expected to defy the Volkswagen scandal and show their 43rd month of growth when figures are published this week. Unbelievable. But then she finishes her little section, her little article, by saying prices for used Volkswagen diesel vehicles fell 4% this week. So difficult times for the second-hand Volkswagen diesel market. And lastly then, Dave Smith's article is all about the, well, we've talked about this before, George Osborne's sort of miraculous austerity measures which he implemented in 2010, and it's talking about the fact that these figures, the growth figures, looking back on them now in hindsight, the growth figures have been revised upwards, and it really is remarkable during a time of austerity the way in which the UK economy responded and actually grew. It's talking about the recent growth numbers for the UK economy, talking about there has been some rebalancing away from the consumption component of AD, which you'll know as C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Consumption overwhelmingly dominates AD in the UK economy. About 2/3 of all of our consumption comes from AD. And George Osborne, part of the Osborne plan was that he would try and rebalance the economy. That means move it away from its over-reliance on consumption more towards investment and more towards trade. And indeed, in this article by Dave Smith, he talks about how that has actually happened. He talks about the fact that household debt has barely increased in the last 7 years. So the green shoots of recovery, as his article is called, this is very, very true. That is not to say, of course, there are not big problems still in the UK economy. We've got a vastly inflated budget deficit problem still, and we've still got an enormous current account problem. But things are moving in the right direction. That is absolutely for sure. So get yourselves out to the newspaper shop, the newsagents today, ladies and gentlemen. Pick up a copy and have a read. Those of you who've paid for The Economist, it should be winging its way to you in the very near term, and that's 32 issues for £15. What an absolute bargain. And I'm just looking here at a little article which has just caught my eye. Those of you who are participating in the IFS Student Investor Share Competition, which of course goes live on the 12th of October, there's a tremendous article here about Glencore, the commodities company. And there's also a tremendous graphic, if I can just show you it here, with regard to the Glencore share price, which has just gone off a cliff edge. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it has fallen off a cliff edge. Some of you in your practice rounds, your practice trades for IFS competition, actually bought the Glencore shares. Bad move, obviously, and one not to be repeated in the real competition. But, you know, another tremendous article here in the business pages of the Sunday Times, well worth a look. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, and obviously we'll be getting stuck into this in the week ahead. Bye.